Well, welcome to the moment of truth. This is yours truly, your host, Dr. Harold G. Dacus Jr. We are live at this time, and I have on the line with me in studio. He's on his work site, and he stopped to attend to this. We want to talk about this incident that happened over 2 months ago and just now came out in the news. That is the killing, the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, a young African American man who was merely jogging in his neighborhood, something that his mother said he'd been doing for years. And he was accosted by two white men who followed him and and then lied in wait in their truck ahead of him. And another individual was following in a truck and videotaped it. And they murdered him in cold blood in broad daylight. And then it was covered up, attempted to be covered up, and they had a video of the incidents that was kept under wraps and concealed till somebody leaked it a couple of days ago. And now there has been an outcry of the public. And today I read that they had actually indicted the two individuals. Okay, I'm going to make sure I spell his name right. Arbery. And they have indicted them on these on the charges of murder. And so we want to talk today a little bit about this incident and how this affects us. I had asked for several people to come on today. I put a post on Facebook, and I invited pastors, I invited ministers, I invited ex-military, and I also invited any community activists. I want to start a conversation because in order for us to really be heard, we're going to have to start showing up, standing up, and speaking up. It's time out for us to continue to be silent. Whereas Martin Luther King quoted, the only thing necessary for evil to prevail is that the good do nothing. And so I'm going to, I have Brother Tony, one of the members of the church where I pastor, and I'm still his pastor, even though now we're basically mobile and I do most of my preaching and teaching now online with COVID, but I've been traveling. But he had some serious concerns that he brought up today. And I thought it would be proper, even if we didn't get anybody to come on, that we would make this live and post it. And hopefully others see it and we can continue this conversation on a more broader basis. But I'm going to have him first voice his concerns, and then I'm going to come back with my commentary. So, Brother Tony, you got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I my major concern is they're killing us at an alarming rate, and that no one is actually. It's almost as though we are just. They have no regard for Black humanity, and me as a Black man myself, at sometimes it just becomes so frustrating. At one point in my life, I tried to distance myself from this as to act as though, because it didn't happen. It didn't happen to me per se. It wasn't that I didn't empathize. I felt, but I just couldn't I just couldn't allow myself to feel because of the way that it made me feel and the exorbitant amount of anger that it brought to me. So I wouldn't allow myself to go there. But I woke up today and watching another black man just get beat down for nothing and killed. I'm to the point now where, you know, the writing is on the wall. It's almost like you go to the blackboard and you write 100 times, you know, and that's. But now they at 1,000. You know, right? You know, out of punishment, go right on the board. I will not do this. But it doesn't seem to matter. And the blatant disregard for Black humanity has just got me in such an internal turmoil. I had to say something. So I got to be willing to do something. This is not good, and it has registered and resonated something in me that has sparked me to say, look, enough is enough. What must we do? What must I do? What can I do to be of assistance that I want to be the one. I got to do my part, because this is not a good thing. You know, we have mothers and sisters. We got. They don't care. They beating up Black women in different places and different things. And this is just it's just to the point where it's like, okay, when do we finally say okay? When do we say okay? I'm saying okay, because it just done touched a chord in me, that I just refuse to sit back any longer and just watch this go down without me at least actively pursuing a resolution. So if one is available.
All right. Now, my commentary on this will be on the lines of, how can the church get involved? We had young man, last name Brown, Ferguson. We had Oscar Grant here in the Bay Area several years ago. They even made a movie about it. We had 10 days after the young man in Ferguson, there was an incident in St. Louis, not even 10 miles away. Another incident involving police shooting of an unarmed Black man. Then there was the incident in Charlotte, North Carolina. Young man sitting in the car with his fiance. Police come up and shoots and kills him right in front of her. No weapon. He hasn't made no advance toward the police. He's sitting in the car, cooperating. He just shot to death. I mean, these stories are going on and on. But the real shocker with this Arbery situation, this happened back in February. I believe it was February 24th. It didn't come out until a couple of days ago when someone leaked a video of the incident. Now, just today, written on the news this morning, it just came out that the two men responsible who murdered him, there you go, they're not suspects, it's on camera, they got proof. The two men that murdered him have been arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Now, the law states you're innocent till proven guilty. In this case, how much proof do you need other than the fact you got them on tape, on video, committing this atrocity in public on a man who's merely out jogging, getting his exercise, something he's done every day for years. And the sad part is, had it not been for this video leaking out, it was wiped out, swept under the rug already. The original prosecutor recused himself because the father is a former police deputy, and he also worked for the district attorney's office as a district attorney investigator. So there was a conflict of interest. So they passed it on. But before he passed it on to the next prosecutor, and no one even dealt with it until the third prosecutor, who only dealt with it after the video come out and the public outcry. Now, people were crying out before this, but they were ignoring him because the first prosecutor who recused himself, he stated that it was justified. There was no cause to bring them on charges. And even though he stepped out of the picture per se, he still wrote an opinion and made a conclusion. How long must we put up with this? And I'm going back to Martin's statement. The only way for evil to prevail is if the good do nothing. How do we just stand by? And what are some of the things that we can do? I think one of the things that we can do as a church is we got to educate people on what's happening. I only heard about this a few days ago. I didn't even know about that this had happened 2 months ago. And I try to stay pretty up on what's happening, although most times the news is so disheartening. I don't watch the news, but I still keep up with current events, on social media. But it's just so, and then there must not have been too much information going on, because a lot of the people on social media that normally report on this kind of stuff, I didn't notice it till a couple of days ago when Roland Martin reported on it, and I started doing some research. I watched some of the videos that they did have up and some of the news stories, and it is very disheartening to know that we live in a country where we call ourselves the land of the free and the home of the brave. Those are the words that end our national anthem. The land of the free and the home of the brave. Now, and when we talk about certain things, I heard the campaign of Trump making America great again. How are we great again when we're going backwards? This to me is on a par with public lynchings, and the perpetrators get away with disrespecting, dishonoring, and violating the rights of other human beings. This young man had as much right to be in that neighborhood as those men in that truck. But they went out specifically and targeted him. They got their guns under the guise that he looked. See, this is one of the tightest lines that we have heard for years. He looked like someone that had committed a crime. Okay, he looked. How many times, though, have they said that, and the description wasn't even close to the person that they went after? It wasn't even close to the description of the person they're supposed to be going after. And so one of the things I think is very necessary for us to do is to start educating the folks as we gather, educating them on the laws and how to protect themselves from folk like this. And then we need to get involved in the conversation. We need to be in the room where they're having the meetings and the conversations about these laws and the laws that they are passing that seem to put us back in the same state of existence we were as slaves, where we had no voice, we had no retribution against those who committed these atrocities on us and our people. And we need to learn how to go to the polls and vote correctly. Stop putting these people in office who uphold these crazy laws, there was no way that Zimmerman should have gotten off killing Trayvon Martin, a young teenage boy coming home with Skittles and murdered by a grown man who's a security guard who should have been trained. Even if he was trying to apprehend him, he should have had better training in his profession. But he was off duty. He was, listen, and the boy was not guilty of any crime. No, this man was out hunting like we're prey. And they treat us as though we are prey in the wild, and they getting ready to go out and get a trophy because they're not killing to feed themselves. They're killing to have a trophy. Let me see how many points, how big a buck I can get. And I got to count the points. Was that the points of the tips of the antlers on a deer? The more points, the greater the trophy. The blacker, seem like the younger, the greater the trophy. And constantly we're dealing with this onslaught of concealed, quiet hatred against black men. And the sad part out, what about the young lady? What was her name? Oh man, was it Brand or Bland? Oh Lord, the name is escaping me now. But the young lady who was killed in the jail cell, actually she was killed, I think, before because they brought her in, and I watched the whole video. She looked dead when they brought her in and set her in that jail cell, and she was in there for 20, 30 minutes, and then they wheel her out in the chair, her head slumping. She's obviously already dead. And the crazy part about it wasn't just white officers. There were black officers that came in and tried to revive her and question her, and no one seemed to want to act like or acknowledge this woman was unconscious until the paramedics came in. And even to the point, she was in the chair when they knocked the chair over and hit her head on the ground. If she wasn't dead, that could have killed her. But those kinds of things where black people are being treated like 3/5 of the human. They're going back to that constitutional amendment that had to be written because originally we were only considered 3/5 of a man, which is why they denied us the right to vote. And we had to have an amendment passed, I believe it was the 13th Amendment, in order to override that because they didn't consider us 100% human. And they're still treating us as though we're not human today. Too much time has passed for us to not come any further than we have come, where people can treat us like trash. We can be a trophy at the end of the sight on our rifle, and we can pick them off like targets in an arcade. And the more we pick off, the bigger the prize. Officers should not have a clear slate to just go out and kill and simply say, I feared for my life. That makes about as much sense to me as a man going in a women's bathroom talking about I feel like a woman, or vice versa. Why are we sitting by and being silent when so much is happening? And this is my point. Don't wait until it's your son. Don't wait until it's your daughter. Don't wait until it's your father, your brother, your cousin, your church member. Why don't we understand the severity of what is happening to us as a people? Because when you kill my brother's child, you just killed one of my family. He was an African-American young man. His mother looks like us. His father looks like us. He looked like us. When they did this, they did it to us. And we have to stop acting as though it did not matter because it didn't come to my house. We have to change this attitude of long as my four and no more are safe, I'm good. It doesn't affect me. It does affect you. Because just like they killed that young man, they could pull my son over one day going home from work. And just because he looked like he looked and drive what he drive. I've been pulled over and mistreated because of what I was driving. And asked, how'd you get this? I work just like you. And of course, you know, I always had a sharp tongue. And I told him, I look just like you and probably make twice as much as you. I got the pink slip. You want to see it? Now just show me your driver's license and registration. Well, I had it in my glove box. So when I took out the driver's license, I took out the registration and insurance, I had the pink slip on top. And I was proud to show it to him. And I said to him, this is all you need to know. You want to know how I got the car? Look at it. It's mine. It's paid for. I says, and the license, the registration, and the insurance up to date, and here's my license. Why do we have to be subjugated to all of this kind of foolishness and subjected to humility and embarrassment and then threatened? Threatened. I had a lady, white lady, drive me off the freeway, changing lanes. And I pulled over to the emergency lane and stopped. And a police, matter of fact, he was a park ranger, U.S. park ranger. I go to merge back into the highway. He was 3 cars back. He comes up behind me, puts a red light on me, pulls me over, and writes me a ticket. And I asked him, I says, didn't you see that lady in the Volkswagen try to run me? Yeah, I saw the whole thing. I said, well, then why are you pulling me over to give me a ticket? Because you were driving reckless and you were trying to force somebody out of their lane. I said, sir, I was in the lane. She merged from the left over to the right in the lane I'm in. And to keep her from hitting my car, I pulled off. And he looked, well, you shouldn't. I said, hold on, sir. She's driving a Volkswagen. You think I want her to tear up my BMW? No, I pulled over. And when it was clear I got back on, I said, hey, you gonna pull me over and give me a ticket? He gave me a ticket. That's the way they do. But we have to stop the madness, and we need to get the message across. We are humans. And people should not treat us the way they do. We have a right to be treated fairly. We have rights just like everyone else. And it's time out for us to just sit back, be silent, and let them treat us any kind of way. So we need to have a dialogue. We need to continue this dialogue. I'm challenging pastors, ex-military, community activists, ministers, families, just people in general. Let's get together. Contact me. You got my Facebook page. Drop me a line. Comment on this video. When you finally watch it, comment on it. I want to challenge you. Let's come to the table. Let's figure out how we're going to deal with this. And then we need to go to the room where they're making the decisions. Show up at your city council meetings. Go to your county board of supervisors meetings. Go to your legislatures and go to the people who are in charge of creating and passing these laws that work against us. And if we listen, you want our money to support the government then needs to take care of us, because guess what? It is time out for taxation without representation. But we got to go to the table. That's my comment. Got anything else you want to share, Brother Tony?
Well, you pretty much covered it. I just wanted to state that first offhand, I am a law-abiding citizen. Definitely, without a doubt. I believe in doing things in the correct manner. But it's kind of got me in a place where I feel like, it's almost like there's no, it can happen to anyone at any time. So, I don't know. Am I next?
Right.
And that's how and that's no way for an individual to live life wondering when you've done absolutely nothing to no one. For for your life to just be taken and your light put out for what?
Yeah.
I believe that everyone should be treated equally, fairly, and at this juncture, we are so far behind the eight ball. It's like this has been going on for years and years and years and years and years, and it's been going on, and it doesn't seem like that they are attempting to stop. It's almost like it's just the soup warmed over.
Wow.
And I'm going to do my part in trying to be more proactive in attending the community sessions and learning what I need to do to best to be more effective in getting this across, because this I have family members. I have mothers. I have a mother and sister and brothers and nephews and nieces, and not to mention my extended family who looks just like me, a black man. And I really have to start to advocate to the youth that there is a way. They say, oh, they fear for their life. Well, a young black man walking around knowing he can be killed for doing absolutely nothing. What do you think how do you think he's supposed to feel?
Yep.
I mean, how do you really think that he's supposed to feel? He like, okay, if they pull me over in my car, ain't no telling if I'm going home tonight.
There you go.
So it's like, whoa, again, I looked, I seen something. I seen a Kent State graduate, a girl, walk across the stage and receive her degree with an assault rifle strapped across her back. Now, in the age of all these school shootings and this and mass shootings and this and that and the other, and do you think a black man would have been no repercussions? This is a graduation, an audience full of people. She has a automatic weapon strapped to her back, as to say, so what?
And
no one's speaking about. No one has addressed that. That in itself makes me a bit fearful.
And if you'd have walked in the auditorium, they thought you'd have had a weapon, they'd have tackled you down. No, they'd have shot you, and they said he had a gun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she had an assault rifle. It wasn't even a toy. Now let's try this. Start there.
Wow.
And pretty much said, so what? I'm exercising my constitutional right.
Wow. Well.
The Constitution only belongs to you?
Yeah.
I just want to know. I would like to know. I would like for somebody to answer that question for me.
That's a good one. Well, in closing, I'll say this. This has been a special edition of the Moment of Truth. One commentator, one of our viewers just said white privilege, and that's absolutely correct. If you white, you're all right. Brown, stand around. If you're black, get back. It is a fact that we are treated differently. The playing field still hasn't been leveled. And so I'm challenging you all to let's get involved, have a conversation. I did this live on purpose. I posted a couple of hours ago and challenged pastors, ministers, community leaders to come join me. No one took me up on it. The sad commentary on that, we'll get involved with all this other stuff that's going on, all this ratchet stuff that people are doing, and we'll share that and post it around like crazy. But when we want to talk about God, talk about the word of God, and we want to talk about being active and proactive and the church being involved in the betterment of our community, we are silent. The only thing necessary for evil to prevail is that the good do nothing. It's time to do something. Yes, this is not going to be our last conversation, but this has been a special edition of the Moment of Truth. I'm going to keep asking until I get some people to come on. And we need to come up with a plan on how the church can be proactive in this movement, because we should be responsible for the ministering to the whole man. We're the shepherds, we're the guards of the sheep. And we cannot just wait until it comes to our house before we speak up. It is time to show up, stand up, and speak up. So when I put the next challenge out, I want to see y'all respond. Drop me an email so I can send you a link so you can join us in the studio. I can have 5 other people at a time. So we can get as many of you in. You can be in queue. When one's finished, I can bring another in the queue. But we need to have a conversation, and then we need to be proactive. If we come up with a plan, we got to all show up, stand up, and speak up so that they know we're serious and we're heard. This matter isn't over. Just because they've indicted them, it's not over. We just need to stay on them, that the prosecution does its job, and these men be called to justice and pay for the crime of murder in the 1st degree against this young man. That's my commentary. Thank you all for coming in and for all of your comments. We'll see you all live at 5 p.m., same channel. And I'm your host of the Moment of Truth, Dr. Harold G. Dakis Jr. We'll see you at 5. We're going to have our weekly wrap-up of our study in the book of Romans. We are in chapter 3 now, and we'll be covering that tonight. But on this story, remember, one of our own has been unlawfully taken, and we must speak up and let them know this will not be tolerated. We must demand our rights and demand justice for this young man's family, who is what? All of us. God loves you and I love you. Not a thing you can do about it. You all be blessed. All right.